Howdy, howdy, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday night here on Northwoods TCG. Thank you guys, everybody, for joining in. Greatly appreciated. Make sure you guys hit that like button as you guys are entering. Help out the stream, and hopefully you guys have had a good week so far and a great holiday weekend. Once again, we did have a holiday, which is kind of nice to get a little time off with family and friends. So, today we're going to be talking about the fact that Sword and Shield, is it still investable? Is it time to pull the pin? If you have not done so at this point in time, in Sword and Shield, is there still an opportunity to do so? Should you be considering it, or is it time to just let it go and wait? And that's what we're going to be discussing today as we're getting going. Hey, Shrug, how you doing today? Hopefully you had a good holiday weekend. So today we're going to sit here and kind of bring that up. Now, in my opinion, and once again, this is all based on my opinion. This is things that I'm seeing based on the market. These are things that concern me, and these are things that show me that there's still opportunity. There's kind of a two-way street, just like any kind of thing in the markets, and that you can find some good and some positive. You know, should we be pulling the pin and buying these particular items, or should we be just kind of slow playing and waiting it out? Is it time to stop waiting and make the moves that you've been contemplating, or is it time to just wait and continue to wait to see what happens? So one thing I am noticing right now, alternate arts are starting to lose steam. Not all of them. I will say for sure that it's not all of them by any means, but we are starting to see more and more of them starting to lose traction when it comes down to their gains. Now, that could mean one of two things. Either one, we're going to be seeing a correction on some of these alternate arts, and some of them we have. We're seeing some alternate arts and some glaring gallery, trainer gallery cards starting to retract a little bit, which is expected when you see the kind of gains and that straight up rocket move that we continually see on these products and on these particular items, that there is a very good chance that when that occurs, that there's always a correction that comes behind it. And that is, my friends, the point of where we should probably be looking at taking the opportunity to jump in, pull that pin, and possibly purchase into these, because that little bit of a drop might be the opportunity you've been waiting for. That finally gives you that relaxation in the market and that opportunity to be able to get in on it and get that availability on these particular items. So I just want to make sure my sound was going. I didn't see it, and now I do. So the other part is too, though, is that there are certain alternate arts, such as the Tina, such as the Umbreon, such as the Umbreon V. A lot of these other, alternate arts are still going up really strong. Does that mean that it's still time to pull on those ones as well? Pull the pin, jump in, and get on those? No. Personally, I think those ones are to the point where if you hadn't done it when we had discussed it a year or 2 years ago, and you didn't make that move, and you decided it wasn't time then, now should not be the time on those particular items. You should be holding yourself back and preparing, staying out of that hype and FOMO. Once again, the worst thing you can do is get into hype and FOMO and really lose focus on what your ultimate goals are when you're in this kind of a market. We're seeing prices accelerate extremely fast, which gets you excited. It gets that blood pumping, gets that heart moving, and you want to jump. You want to get in. You don't want to miss it. But sometimes missing the first train doesn't necessarily mean that it's the worst thing in the world. Sometimes that just means it's going to go up really high, and then it's going to have a retract period, and that's when you should maybe jump in on these particular products. That way, you might have the opportunity to get in on these particular products with some growth opportunity. Now, all trainer galleries, all parts products, even products in the Pokemon TCG are seeming to do some weird things, especially in that Sword and Shield block. And that's why I'm specifically focusing on Sword and Shield, is because there's still a lot of opportunities in these sets. We do have, Silver Tempest still available on Pokemon Center. They got a 4-box limit. Really weird that they pick 4, so you can't even buy a case, which I think is inhibiting it from selling very well. Personally, I'm not buying them from TCG Player because of the fact that, or I'm buying them from other sources besides Pokemon Center, because you can only buy a 4-box limit. So I'm not getting a case. If I'm not getting a case, then they're going to ship it in a box. They're going to beat the crap out of the booster boxes, as they always do, because they don't believe in any packing material from the Pokemon Center right now for whatever reason. They don't even put in a bubble, anything, nothing to protect it. I've gotten two boxes from there, and they look like they were just thrown around the USPS bus with no protection whatsoever. And that's a huge and dangerous thing when it comes down to your investments. If you're trying to keep good, clean product, buying them that way is not necessarily the best way to go about it. There are some, or were some, outside sources that you could still be getting them at that same price, but now even those sources are starting to get more expensive. We're starting to cross over to MSRP, and we're going to be seeing where this goes too, because I'm sure that Silver Tempest isn't far off from disappearing off Pokemon Center as well. I think either A, Pokemon Center is going to sell out of that particular product, and they're just going to go away, or B, they're going to pull it off the shelf here in the near future, probably closer to the next anniversary of its release. They're going to pull it off the shelf, and they're going to go ahead and just send it through distribution, whether they break up the stock and send it into other products, or they send it out to distribution and give them an opportunity to sell it outright. Things happen. Pokemon Center will pull it off the shelf. We're getting closer and closer to that 2-year range. So it's really going to be interesting to see how Pokemon handles this and what we're going to be seeing with Silver Tempest. Maybe they'll open it up to that 6 booster box limit, because that was the one factor that kind of has been turning me away from purchasing on Pokemon Center. So once again, now back to the pin pulling part of this thing. Is it time to pull the pin? Is it time for some of these products to take the opportunity, pull the pin, get in on it, and start to build your investments even more? And for me, yes. I think that if you have not, and if you're new in this hobby, once again, a lot of the videos I do are based on the fact that you're brand new. If you were in here 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and you didn't buy Fusion Strike at $99, you didn't see value in it at $99 or $90 for that particular booster box, if you didn't buy Chilling Reign at $78 to $85 because you didn't see value in it at that point, if you didn't buy Battle Styles at $75 to $80 a booster box because you didn't see value in it, now is not the time to be buying these things. You had your opportunity. You probably should just consider it. You don't see value in it and let it go. But if you are new in this hobby, because there's still a lot of people I see coming through, and let me know in the comments or in the chat here, if you're new, if you're fairly new and maybe just came in the recent years, you didn't go through all the hype and the FOMO and everything that happened in the Sword and Shield era, let me know in the comments or in the chats, because I know that I've been seeing and talking to a lot of individuals who are fairly new and are asking questions about what happened here, why did we do this, or what's looking at that, which tells me that they weren't here during those situations. But if you are new and you have been considering Sword and Shield products as a buy-in point, is Brilliant Stars still a good buy currently on the market? Yes, it's kind of flatlined at this point in time. It's got an opportunity to maybe jump in on it. It didn't accelerate as fast as a lot of us thought, but I partially put that on the fact that I think that became very oversaturated. There was a lot of products still available for Brilliant Stars. I think it's going to get chewed through. Lost Origins, though, is just going like crazy. Lost Origins you can still find on eBay. I've been able to see some auctions and pick up even one booster box at a time. You can get that one booster box for around $200 to $210. So you can continually grab those particular booster boxes and get them in. So if you are considering it, now's the time to do it, because I truly do feel that booster boxes like Lost Origins, like Brilliant Stars, Evolving Skies, Fusion Strike, are all in that upward trajectory right now, and it's actually fairly good in natural growth. They had their first little shot when they went out, and now they're just continuing to move up at a very steady pace. And that's a good thing. That makes it very comfortable to purchase into. You also get the comfortable factor that Pokemon Center isn't going to be coming out with a large reprint of these particular products. We're not going to see a large reprint of Evolving Skies, Fusion Strike, Brilliant Stars, Astral Radiance, Lost Origins, or Silver Tempest. Whatever's probably out there is out there, even though I know some people would say Pokemon absolutely could go through and do with it, but they really don't have any purpose to go that back and do that. Yes, was some money-making times for them. Yes, they had some really good success, but they also focus on the playability, and we have got playable sets that are selling out extremely fast. Temporal Forces selling out really fast, but they have a feel. Even now, the newest set, Twilight Masquerade, actually has got some very big cards. Have you guys seen that price of the Eevee card? An Illustrator Rare is $60 right now. $60 for an Illustrator Rare that isn't that hard to pull. Going back, you can take a look at some of the other secret rares in there. They're going over $100. The Greninja, well over $100 currently right now. This is the facts that we are seeing it very difficult to pull. I've heard people say that they've opened 6 to 10 cases and pulled one Greninja in 10 cases. That is a really, really hard pull rate when it comes down to that particular card. Now, granted, it could come down to that regional thing, just like we've seen. PokeRev have a really hard thing, and I keep getting comments that Magic Cart from Celebrations was the hardest thing to pull. I pulled 3 of them. So how hard was it? I didn't pull a Charizard, but I've pulled 3 Magic Carps. It all depends on where you're at. It all depends on your luck. Overall, they're all the exact same. Realistically, all the chases are all pretty much the same prints and the same rarities. It just seems like some of them are more than others, and that's going to be a consideration as well on a lot of these different products. But Sword and Shield, definitely, if you're new in the hobby, you didn't have the opportunities prior, I would definitely be focusing on trying to get in on these. Use your resources such as auction houses, such as maybe looking on PokeWorld 2.0, going through and watching on TikTok price drop or price deal or Poke Deals. Really great place to get those opportunities through different sites. There's also Savari Zone has got some really good pricing right now on some of the older Sword and Shield stuff. Surprisingly, they still have it in stock. So there are opportunities still out there that gives that opportunity cost and that availability to actually jump in and get in on some of these particular parts. So overall, great opportunities, great things potentially coming in the hobby. I think that Sword and Shield is wrapping up, and the growths are there. The growth opportunities have presented themselves. I think that if you're new, there's still growth opportunities. You're probably not going to see that explosive growth that we've been accustomed to in Sword and Shield. Now you're more into it for that long-term drug out 15, 20, 25% per year, which is still not bad overall for the growth rate. Even this year, looking at my portfolio right now on Sword and Shield, I'm still sitting at about 21% growth rate on all of the Sword and Shield, just across the board on growth on those particular ones. Yes, some of them have done really well. Yes, some of them haven't even moved. Sword and Shield base set, Rebel Clash, Darkness Ablaze, all of them have not had much movement yet this year. But that doesn't mean that overall in the Sword and Shield era, we're not seeing continuous, nice, steady growth. And I think that that's going to continue to happen. So, guys, if you're new and you haven't had the opportunities, definitely be searching around. There are some good opportunities. Silver Tempest is one of them. If you're buying a couple booster boxes at a time, definitely some great opportunities to get in on those booster boxes and have some really good potential to see them do well as they go out. They're already 170 on TCG Player. They're 144 on Pokemon Center. I don't like buying them without buying them in a case from Pokemon Center, but if you're not buying case weights anyways, then you can just go ahead and buy a couple or one or two from there and still have the great opportunity. So, and the other option is that, Shrug just put it into it. Start looking at some of the Scarlet and Violet era stuff too. There's some really good opportunities in Scarlet and Violet still presenting itself. Paldea Evolved doing extremely well. Obsidian Flame doing really well. Biggest factor on those is the fact that, hey, these are doing really well on the facts that they have some playability to them. Paldea Evolved, really nice set, has some really good artwork. It's doing extremely well. Obsidian Flame, I'd be very cautious about. I feel reprint coming in on that particular set, just because that Pidgeot deck is in like every deck right now. It is a really, really strong push, and I think that there's some really good opportunities in that Scarlet and Violet. I've personally been going back to more XY because I feel that this XY era has got some really good opportunities between some trainers, some cards. That EX era is bringing people back. We're seeing some movement on some of those EXs, and when you see EXs, just like when I said that they were going to the EX point and that terminology on these particular cards, then this would be a really, really good time to be looking at those ones back then, and it still is. It's actually panning out. Some of these EX cards are moving up in value. We're seeing some increased push, and we're seeing some really good things futuristically on the XY era EXs as well. Even the trainers, man, some of them cards you can get them if you do a little bit of pulling up a bunch of different cards and buying a bunch of bulks of them, going through them and getting some gradable cards. Some of them gradable cards are doing extremely well. That Poke Center lady, I talked about that one like 2 years ago. I was doing a play on that where you could buy that card for like $13 to $20, right in that range. If you got a 9, it was $68. If you got an 8, it was $54. And if you got the 10, it was a $230 card. Now the Pokemon Center lady is now up to right around $50, but the play is still there after grading. An 8 is still, if you get a 6, you're going to break even on buying that with grading. So there's still a potential for some of these plays out there. Yes, it's a little bit more pricier than it was 2 years ago, but the opportunity is still there in that XY era, and there's a lot of those cards are a lot more difficult to get that 10 because there aren't as many clean versions of those particular cards out there. So overall, really, really good things, really good opportunities still presenting themselves over and over and over again in this hobby. It's just a matter of where you're chasing, where you're going, and what your plans are when it comes down to your overall goals in this hobby. Is it time to pull the pin on Sword and Shield? Yes, I think it is. I think it's time to get in on it, take your availability, and really start to position yourself the best you can, because I've got a feeling that in the next 5 years, all of these are going to be 2x, 3x. That's just my personal feeling and opinion. I'm not telling you to go by that. That is just my personal feelings. Do I think that even Vivid Voltage is going to 2x in the next 5 years? Absolutely. I think that you'll see a $250 Vivid Voltage box in the next 2 years. Will we see Darkness Ablaze around that $200 $250 range in 5 years. Sorry. In 5 years, will you see it around that $250, $300 range for Darkness Ablaze? Yes, I could definitely see that. Sword and Shield is going to continue to be one of those sets. It's kind of like our base set for the newer generation. This is the area that everybody loves and where the growth is going to continue to happen. I think you're going to see people leave, move to different areas, so now they'll go to XY for a little bit, and you'll see some bantering and some moving there, and then they'll work their way back to Sword and Shield. They'll go to Sun and Moon, and they'll go play in Sun and Moon for a while, and then they'll come back to Sword and Shield. And I think Sword and Shield is like the new base camp when it comes down to your Pokemon investments, and also for your Pokemon collecting and just overall Pokemon in general now is running on that Sword and Shield. Not too many people like Scarlet and Violet. I don't know why. I enjoy it. I think it's a really good set. I think that they have some really good artworks. I think the pull rates were a little bit easy on the first couple sets, but in general, most of the first couple sets of all eras are fairly easy pulls because they're building a new dynamic. They're building a new set. They're building a new game and tournament play style. So they need to be building those particular cards up and get them into the hands of the collectors and the players so that they can have them. Yeah, they don't need to do SARs and IRs because there are just EX versions of each one of those. But it's just the typical move of the Pokemon TCG, and I don't think they're going to change just because they went to Scarlet and Violet from what they've done from XY, even base set, all the way through. So I said that's kind of just my little rant. I would stop hesitating. If you've been hesitating and if you're new in the hobby and you've been hesitating on whether or not you should jump in on Sword and Shield products, I definitely think that it's a really good time still to get some opportunity in it. It's going to be a lot slower growth, but I think the opportunities are still there. There's still the deals out there that you can find to work around, find different locations, go to different places. You can go on to different sites and get some really good pricing still on some Sword and Shield booster boxes, and gets you that opportunity to get your foot in the door to have some really good growth when it comes down to your Pokemon sets and your Pokemon investing or collection, whichever one you're looking for. So other than that, I'm going to go ahead and go to the chat. Like I said, I didn't have much today, guys. I just want to talk about that because I'm just seeing more and more of the Sword and Shield stuff going really, really up in price. And for a lot of people, that's going to start pricing them out. If you've been hesitating on it, I'm afraid that you're going to continue to get it priced out. Some of these tag teams, not XY, or not, wow. Focus, not Sun and Moon. We're going to be talking about alternate arts, trainer galleries, and of course the Galarian Gallery cards, all doing extremely well. And this is one that I actually was surprised about. So this is when I was on a live on TikTok and we were talking about graded cards. And I got this Zacian, so the Zacian V and the Zamazenta V. Now when I did these cards and I graded them, I thought that they were really cool cards. Got them back as 10s and they're sequential 10s. And I kind of held on to them because I thought they were really cool. I think I really liked the art style of these particular cards, and I thought they looked really good. And I was going to sell them, and then I kind of held off. The Zamazenta is going for $110, and the Zacian now is going for $100 in a PSA 10. So another one. The cards, the singles themselves are not that expensive. And I don't know what gradability is on them. I haven't looked at the population, but just for example, it's just another one of those potential opportunities. So if I go in here and I'm just going to go into the Galarian Gallery, we're seeing some really good things in that Galarian Gallery. Let's just be 100% honest. It's doing extremely well. And if you pull that open, I can give you a singles cost on that. So if you were to grade those and get a 10, you'd be looking at about $100 to $120. And they're a $10 card, a $10 and an $11 card right now. So another opportunity. You know, there's a lot of that occurring right now in that Crown Zenith Galarian Gallery. The Mew, another one. If we go ahead and go for the Mew inside of here, the Hisuian Zoark, another one. $16 graded. It's going right now for about $75 to $80. I mean, you got Cynthia's Ambition, another one. It's a $12 card right now, and I just looked. The PSA 10 on this one is running at about $75. So there are some really good opportunities currently. Any of the gold cards right now are going really high. So if you can get any of the gold cards, great opportunities on those as well. So definitely be checking out, if you're into the grading side of the Pokemon TCG, definitely be checking out the Galarian Gallery right now in Crown Zenith, because there are some really big offsets between the singles and the actual graded cards. And honestly, they don't grade very hard. Grading 9s and 10s are fairly easy, and if you can get 10s on them, of course you're going to make some really good money or some really good opportunity on those particular cards. So All right, like I said, I just want to do a quick little rant. Just be considering it. If you have not done it and you are still considering the Sword and Shield era, make sure that you guys are considering that. Make sure you pull that pin and don't hesitate much longer, because we're running out of time. The pricing on this stuff is still going up. I still think some of these items have some really good opportunity for bursting out and doing a really good thing and really good gains, but some of them I don't think will be doing quite as well. They're going to start slowing down. They're going to plateau again for a little bit. We're just getting a little bit high for how old those are. People may shift and go back to tag teams. They may go after whatever in XY or that kind of area as well. As the alternate arts, trainer galleries, and glaring gallery cards get so high, they're going to shift. They're going to change and go someplace else where they feel their money is more valuable. Once again, I'm going to go to chat. Just welcome in, everybody. Thank you, guys. I see a lot of chats already coming through. So, Shrug, thank you so much for dropping in. As always, Shrug Nasty in the house. FOMO, as always, thank you for being the moderator here tonight. Greatly appreciated. We got Brett Brett Collects TCG. Thank you so much for stopping in tonight. Gimbo, how's it going today? Howdy, howdy. Hopefully you're having a good day. Who else? I thought there was one more in here. Oh, there he is. Grim the Nerd. Thank you so much for dropping in as well. Glad to see you here this evening. And Dash is here as well. Thank you so much for stopping into the chat. So I'm going to do the normal. I'm going to kind of scroll through, find the questions, find the discussion points, and we'll kind of cover them, and we'll discuss it a little bit. So let's see. First discussion point that we have here, Snug Nasty. I'm done buying older sets as investments. Moving on to Scarlet and Violet, as you should be. I think Scarlet and Violet, of course, is going to have some good opportunities. Is it going to be as strong as Sword and Shield? No, I don't think you're going to be seeing those gains like you did in Sword and Shield for now. Could it happen? Could we see a change? Could we see something, a new rarity or something really change? As we've said previously, yeah, it could really change how things react and how things go forward. But as of right now, there's time. If you get opportunities in older sets, I would probably be looking at those before anything in Scarlet and Violet era currently, just because the fact that there's time with Scarlet and Violet. There's still reprints going to happen. Obsidian Flame is going to get reprints. I guarantee it. We're going to see probably a Paradox Rift. We're going to be seeing an Obsidian Flame just because of the playability. I'm probably going to see a Temporal Forces because of how much it's sold down. And even right now with Twilight Masquerade doing so well, I think that that's going to sell down pretty fast as well and could potentially be on the reprint docket. We're getting closer to those reprint dockets where we will be seeing that coming up here. Usually the end of August, beginning of September, they'll start putting up some of those reprints for the holiday season. We'll also be getting some announcements for some of the holiday promo stuff and all that. We do have the new holiday set coming out, of course, with Shrouded Fable. So that looks like a really interesting set, a really cool set on that end as well. So there's some really good things coming up in Scarlet and Violet as well that may have some opportunities. And while I got a few people on here too, just go ahead and check out the Discord as well. Now, since we're talking about Shrouded Fable, I do have a pre-order up on that particular on my Discord. If you guys are interested in some of the product, I will not be shipping prior to release. I will actually be shipping after release because I won't get it until the day of release, and then I'll have to ship it the following week. But if you are looking for some discounted prices on those particular items, please check out my Discord, and then I can get you an opportunity to get some of those as well if you want them at a little bit of a discounted rate for the booster bundles, all the different products that are out there currently. I won't promise the booster bundles. Distributor, I am low end man on a totem pole when it comes down to the 6-pack bundles, just FYI. I do have them available, but I would just be really concerned about going in and purchasing those currently. Hey Pokemon Wonder, how are you doing this evening? Hopefully you've had a good weekend and a holiday. Let's see. We got Brett Collectibles. Yeah, I'm making moves on that Scarlet and Violet as well. There are a lot of opportunities in it as well. Just buy another case. There's tons of printing though, so we'll see how it does over time. Yeah, I mean it's kind of overprinted, but actually compared to Sword and Shield, I don't think it's compared to Sword and Shield. I don't think it was printed nearly as much. I guess we'll find out here because they'll be announcing how many cards they printed in the last year. But something tells me that they didn't print 9 billion cards this last year. I think they probably settled it down, but you got to consider, too, they did open up new markets. So China's really taking a big bulk of that as well now, that the simplified Chinese. So that's definitely something to be considering as well, is that Even though they may print as many cards, I don't think there's as many English cards this year. I think a lot more of it's going to that Chinese and Korean market while they're trying to get them caught up on sets this last year. So be interesting to see what the number's going to come out with. We've had 2 years at 9 billion. It's going to be kind of interesting to see if we continue that here in the next year. Let's see, Brett. I came back with the Sword and Shield base, so it was fun seeing how the era turned out. Then the era was absolutely crazy. Need to get in on Temporal Forces. That's my next target set. Yeah, getting a little bit of it's going to be a good thing, but once again, I'd be very cautious about those sets because they are playable, number one. Number two, they do have a good chase, so they are burning up fairly quickly. And if they burn up quickly, then they might have a good opportunity to potentially be reprinted. So there might be some more opportunities. The problem is that we never know what Pokemon's going to reprint or why they're going to reprint some of these things. So no matter what they do, they are going to have that situation where we could get completely slammed with reprints of all the sets. They could even reprint base set if they really wanted to. Even though there's plenty of that available, I can still buy that at Southern Hobby. It's still available all over the place. So there's definitely opportunities to still get into those particular items. So once again, it's hard to tell what they're going to reprint. It's still really early in Scarlet and Violet. So I'm a little bit more hesitant to jump in on. I'm buying like one booster box when it gets to a low price or one case just to have it. But realistically, I'm waiting to see how it pans out before I really jump into something. Do I have one case of Temporal Forces? Yes, I've got one case of Temporal Forces. It's going to sit on my shelf. It is what it is. But I'm not going in and buying like my second, third, fourth, or fifth case. I did buy two. I sold one on TikTok. And then, of course, I've kept one back just for my overall investment. So I'm a little bit more hesitant right now because of the fact of reprints. We're really early in the sets. There's that great opportunity to not only reprints, but we may also just see restocks. Pokemon has a ton of stock behind it and all of a sudden releases it on the market as well. So those are all things that you need to be considering this early into the era. Gimbo, if Dragon Set is next, does it kind of confirm they've been saying a better, spicier set for back half of the era? We will see some better, spicier, in my opinion, we'll see some better, spicier sets in the back half of the era. We usually do. I mean, look at every one of the eras. You look at the end of, XY. You look at the end of the XY. We got some spicier ones. You got they were heavily printed with Roaring Skies and Evolving Skies and things like that, or Evolving Skies evolutions. You go with Sun and Moon. We've got Hidden Fates. You've got all the tag teams right at the end. You get that new rarity. You get that new jump on those particular items. And then you go into Sword and Shield. We got alternate arts. We got Radiance. We got V-Stars. So you got that big boost in trainer galleries at the end. So do I think that we could see that again at the end of the next era here? Absolutely. I think there's some really great opportunities and potentials there when it comes down to this era getting something, a rarity. We got to see a new rarity at some point here. They keep talking about Megas being released in A to Z, so we should be maybe seeing Megas back if they follow like they typically do. If a game releases Megas, then we'll see it in the same era. So that would be an interesting twist for the playability and the actual play dynamic when it comes down to it. That would be really, really cool to see that also show up. Those Megas showing up would maybe be the next rarity. So I don't know for sure. Like we talked about before, it's just a regular Illustrator rare, but it's pulling $60 right now. So there would be a really good opportunity for an evolution set to come back, another version of Evolving Skies or something similar to that. Let's see. I'm sorry, my sets right now. Hope it's a main set. Doesn't seem like it'll be a specialty. No. We already got Shrouded Fable as a specialty set, so if the next set released, it will be a regular set. Shrug Nasty. I'm ready to buy as much as I can of the Dragon set when it drops. I think we're all like posturing for that bad boy. The prices on those booster boxes are going to go up really fast. That's because I am a booster box collector. Yeah. Let's see. Just